Hello and welcome to the Cyberden, your weekly dose of tech and games. I, Jake, will be chatting with professional actor Paul Eiding, better known as the voice of Colonel Campbell from the Metal Gear series. Thanks for coming, mate.
Totally my pleasure, my friend.
Now, Paul, please tell everyone listening what inspired you to become a voice actor.
It was more voice acting picking me, choosing me, than me choosing voice acting. I started out on stage. I'm a stage actor first. For a time, I was doing improv, like Second City, that sort of thing. While I was working at this theater, there was someone who worked in the company that did writing, wrote for training films. And he asked if I would be interested in doing some voiceovers for training films. So I said, sure. So I did those. At the same time, of course, staying with my stage work, film, TV, and that sort of thing. Moved out to Los Angeles. That was in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I did a play when I first moved to town called Cloud 9 by Carol Churchill.
Ah, yeah, Cloud 9. It's quite a taboo script. It touches on a lot of sensitive topics, mostly around sex and gender.
Yeah, I played three characters. Everyone in the show, not everyone, but there are several characters that males are played by females are played by males. It's about roles that put thrust on you instead of you picking them yourself. It's what we accept others' views of us. It's that sort of thing. So it is rather taboo. But it was the West Coast premiere. They'd done it in New York, and then they brought it out to Los Angeles, and I was in the original cast of that. And I played a Cockney soldier, an African manservant in colonial Africa, and a 5-year-old girl. I was the most unattractive 5-year-old girl you could ever imagine.
Ah, Paul, I'm sure you'd look beautiful in a small little pink dress with golden curls.
I had a pink dress, as a matter of fact, little Mary Jane shoes and little, ruffled socks. But the idea was there was no makeup except for my wig. I had, pigtails. And except for that, there was no makeup. Either as the African, because the whole idea is the African is trying to accept the role of his white master. So I did that show, and a gentleman by the name of Gordon Hunt, who was the director and casting director at Hanna-Barbera, who did, Tom and Jerry, all the old ones, the Jetsons, Yogi Bear, the Smurfs, all those sorts of things.
So in other words, a lot of classic cartoons.
Exactly. He came to see the show, and he liked what I did, so he contacted my agent and asked me to come in for a general audition. So I went in and I read several different, I think maybe 8 or 10 different types of copy, from wizards to old guys to young guys. And he liked what he heard, so he started calling me in for auditions. And I started booking. And I did the GoBots and lots of old things, the Sky Commanders and Johnny Quest. Got to work with people that I grew up listening to. I got to be a Smurf. I'm Chimney Sweep Smurf, as a matter of fact. And and worked with, did Yogi Bear and, a ton of them over there. And then I also ended up getting lucky and I'm one of the original Transformers. But while I was doing all that, I was still working on stage and doing film and TV. So for me, voice acting picked me more than me making a concerted effort for it. Because when I first moved out to Los Angeles, my agent, commercial agent, who handles the voiceover department and on camera, said they would handle me on camera, but they didn't need me voiceover because they had everybody they needed. So when I first came out, before I started working with Gordon Hunt at Hanna-Barbera, I didn't really have representation in the voiceover department. But once that happened, then they saw the error of their ways and they started sending me out for lots of different things. So that's how it happened, and I am overjoyed that it did, and that I left myself available to do it.
Now, you've provided voices for many games, shows, movies, and much more. However, focusing specifically on video games, you are most famously known as Colonel Campbell from the Metal Gear series. How did you get the audition, and what was it like playing the Colonel?
Getting the audition was just like any other show. Luckily for me, Chris Zimmerman, who has directed every American version of every Metal Gear from the beginning on, she knew my work, and she had cast me in other things. And in fact, funny enough, I first met her when she was working for Gordon Hunt at Hanna-Barbera. She was his assistant over there.
All right.
Gordon Hunt is an amazing man. I'm sorry to go back to him, but he's Helen Hunt's father, Academy Award-winning actress. He started out, there are 4 or 5 big-time directors here in town in Los Angeles, female directors, all started with Gordon. He's just one of those guys that helps people move along in their careers. Anyway, so Chris Zimmerman had known me from Hanna-Barbera. She had also cast me in several other video games, that sort of thing. And then she called me in to do this. She thought that I had it in me, that lower range, lower register. And she said she also called me in because I wasn't just, this is not a slam, but I wasn't just a voice actor, that I was an actor doing film and TV. And this was to be done not like the animation, not like over-the-top sort of thing. It was to be realistic. It's more radio drama than cartoon. So I got the audition that way. Now, how was it to do it? It was really great because generally when you do voiceover with video games, generally you're alone. You're in a room by yourself, you do all your lines, and then the editor puts it all together. With this one, it was important to have that immediacy with Snake and Campbell. So we got to work together, which was terrific. Actors always would rather work in a room together with other actors because it changes how your inflection, it changes how you feel about things because you're acting, instead of just doing a voice. And after the first one, we knew it was something special. We didn't know it was going to continue. Since it has, it's overjoying. That's all you want to do as an actor is, do something that lasts and people care about.
While we're on the topic of Metal Gear Solid, you also played the imposter AI version of Colonel Campbell, simply known as the Colonel, in Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty. Now, those who have completed it will remember the really crazy, incredibly strange things that the Colonel says right near the end, such as being abducted by aliens and needing 61 scissors. When you first read the script for all these crazy words, what was your reaction?
They did a funny thing to me. We recorded everything. We did everything. They said, everything will come clear later on. Don't worry about it. Just read. At the end of the session, they gave me a page with all these really strange things. The driving home on the last Thursday and the sky turned orange and all that sort of thing. And my favorite, I hear it's amazing when the famous purple stuffed worm in Flapjaw Space with a tuning fork does a raw blink on Harry Carey Rock. I need scissors, 61. That was all at the end of the session. And they gave me the page, said, just read it. Don't worry about it. Just, you don't have to know what it means yet. So they wouldn't even tell us what was going on.
I actually remember that quite well. I remember when my dad was playing it and me and my brother were watching. And right near the end, when the Colonel starts sending messages and just getting crazier and crazier, and that point when he just says, turn the game console off right now, I was really freaked out. And I was like, how does he know all of this stuff?
I've heard that so many times. People have told me that they've played the game for 5, 6, 7 hours straight. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm telling them to turn it off now. And a couple of guys said, and I did it. And it's like, after I turned it off, I said, what did I just do? What was I thinking? It was it's a great game. Just a great game.
What are some of your favorite characters that you've provided voices for, and why? What is it that you love about acting?
For me, I love doing the video games or any voiceover because I can be anything. I'm only limited by my talent, by what I can do with my voice. You're limited on screen by all those things. But voiceover, you are free. I can play wizards 800 years old. I can play guys 6'6", and I'm not. I can play dads, happy dads. You can do anything within your range of talent on voiceover. My favorite characters, I love doing Grandpa Max on Ben 10. I just love that character because he's the kind of grandpa I hope I'll be someday. Being able to, obviously very loving, caring, wants to take care of his family, wants to take care of the universe, and can also kick butt when he has to. I love that guy. I also love Perceptor because he's part of a franchise that has lasted all these years. Now, it's changed and altered over the years. But as an actor, all you want to do is make someone feel something, whether it's happiness, anger, joy, love, hate. If you can make an audience react to what you're doing, and then have something like that last and mean something to people over time, then I'm a happy guy. I mean, that's what it's, for me, that's what acting is all about. I'm really lucky, and I realize every day how lucky I am.
Paul, it's been a blast. Thank you so much for coming to this interview.
Jake, it's been an absolute pleasure, my friend.
And I would also like to thank my lovely listeners out there for tuning into this great interview on the Cyber Den, your weekly dose of tech and games. See you later, Paul. I will press the action button to end this codec call. Bad news, Paul. I've been spotted. I've got to go!
Jake. Jake.